Then the comprehension kind of stuff, which means there are no numbers, but you think about hows and whys or how things are related. And finally, the numerical stuff, you have to pass the numerical stuff only at 70%. So you get a C on the numerical stuff, you're good. And the numerical stuff is not going to be multiple choice. And that'll be algorithmic. So if you ask AI to do it for you, that's your business. But then when we come to class, you'll probably pay for that. Once you pass all three, you're going to get a fourth quiz, which is going to ask you what is 2 times 2. That is the only quiz result that's going to be recorded. So this is the 0-1 kind of deal. If you complete that, you get your 100% on that. That's it. So if you complete all of them, you already have your 15 points for the semester, plus the 10 points from attendance, 25. So you don't have much left for the A, right? On every Monday, we're gonna call. Oh, I'm gonna post these next week. We'll do some preliminaries, so next week doesn't apply. Every Wednesday, I'm gonna post next week's lectures. So you have from Wednesday to Monday to complete all of that stuff. These are typically one chapter, and chapters in this book are relatively short. Uh, it's like the half a chapter, equivalent to half a chapter in our business 302 kind of stuff. And you'll have 4 days to do all of that. Presumably, coming to class, you already know what you're talking about. You may not necessarily understood everything in depth. It's okay. That's what the classroom is for. But the Mondays are going to be market days. You know, this being an investment and portfolio class, we're going to talk about stocks, bonds, investments, maybe limited, not limited, but concentrated on the chapter topic we have at hand, but it will be market day. I'm going to have discussion questions that I'm going to have ahead of time. That doesn't mean we're limited to those. So I'm going to ask sometimes volunteers, sometimes randomly. You know, for example, I'm just making this up. Maybe first discussion question is why is NVIDIA worth almost $4 trillion? Okay. You need to think about that. I mean, we haven't come to that point where we talked about valuation and stuff, but assuming we had, that could be a valid discussion point. Or should it be, $5 trillion? Why? I may ask that question by randomly picking one of you. By the way, that thing actually draws a random number from 1 to 29, a random number of times. That's between 1,000 and 1,500. That's the only way I could give the appearance of shuffling. If I did it only 100, it's just done. Or sometimes I'm going to give the little group assignment. I'm going to put you guys into groups of 4, 2 groups, maybe 3, because of the way our number is. But if we end up being down to 28, everybody's going to be 4. Otherwise, I think 3 groups will be 3. Sometimes I'm going to say, here's the problem. You guys work on as a group. I will either ask for a volunteer, one of the groups, or I will randomly pick one of the groups and ask your answer. Again, I'm not particularly interested whether or not the answer you give is right. I'm more interested, have you got to that answer? Did you guess, or have you thought about it? You're wrong. That doesn't matter. Then we're going to rate your uh, discussion or participation. If you're not here, it's as if you were here and you got 0 from that question. So that's an indirect way you get penalized by not being here. If you provide me with nothing, oh, actually, there's something before that. You basically said, I don't know, that's not even ugly, okay? I still give you 30 points. And it could be an ugly answer. I kind of started with only three categories: the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you know anything about the spaghetti westerns, you would know that movie. It's a great movie by Sergio Leone, and it's one of the Clint Eastwood's greatest movies. Could be bad, could be good, better, pretty. Sometimes you give an absolutely perfect answer. You go above and beyond what I expect, then that's the most pretty. That's why it's pink, right? And I'll show you how to do those things, by the way. How I change these numbers by arrows or these things. Next week, we're going to spend upon some basic Excel skills. These are not necessary for anything, but hey, it's nice little. Remember, Excel is another way you could do presentations, numerical presentations, and communicating stuff with icons, pictures, and that sort of stuff is important. Everybody relates to bars, right? One bar, two bar, three bar, what have you. If you can see, you know, not even ugly. There's no bars, but its background is gray. No bars, background is getting a little bit not gray. One bar, two bar, three bar, four bar, but pink background. I kind of thought about scales of the rainbow from infrared to from uh, ultraviolet to infrared or something like that. And you could put a little spinner that does all of that. Or, you can randomly draw numbers. And drawing numbers randomly is important because on some of the risk stuff we're going to talk about, we're going to actually make simulations, the so-called Monte Carlo simulations, which means you're simulating a real life scenario. A lot of times, you're taking the average of times. For example, there's a kind of option called Asian style options. In regular options, payoff depends upon what the price is on the day of the exercise. They're called, European style options. On Asian style options, the payoff depends upon the average price from the creation of the option until the expiration. There is no closed form formula for those, but that doesn't mean we cannot value them. And we're going to use something called Monte Carlo simulation to do something like that. It's not that complicated. I mean, we're going to use our templates and stuff, but I'm going to show you how we build those. Those of you who took my classes before, even though I'm a goddamn surgeon with algebra, algebra doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, algebra is now I know. I mean, it got me eat very well having all those skills, but now I know it's just a parlor trick. You may do a great algebra, that doesn't mean that you're able to think mathematically. Thinking mathematically is not about algebra or doing complicated differential equations. It's about mathematical way of approaching problems. And you can summarize it as reduce a complicated problem into things you know how to do. Example, I always use this in my even basic finance class. I'm going to teach in my basic finance class, and you guys know how to do it. I'm going to teach you two skills when it comes to retirement kind of stuff. I'm going to teach you how to calculate value of a future cash flow set. You'll get this much money this time, this much money this time. What is that worth now? Example, you know, you're going to make mortgage payments of $300 a month for the next 30 years. Interest rate is 6%. What is the value of that now? That's typically the loan that you get, right? Or if you're going to save $300 a month for the next 40 years, and you can earn 8% on those savings, and you also started with maybe $10,000, I'm going to teach you how to calculate how much money you will have in your account 40 years from now. That's a future value problem. They're not complicated. Excel has functions for them. Even if it didn't, we could calculate it ourselves. So those are the things I know. Now I'm going to make it even more complicated. Let's do a complicated retirement planning problem. Uh, I'm very ambitious guy. Assume I'm 20 now. Knowing the things I know now, I want to retire when I'm 50 years old. So I'm going to save for 30 years. I want to enjoy my money when I'm still young enough. Trust me, I'm 60 now. I feel like 45, but I didn't know that at the time. To me, 60 was old at the time. So I'm going to retire at 50. I want to be able to afford a yacht or something like that, at least rent one. So I want, let's not talk about inflation. I want in inflation adjusted terms, $10,000 a month revenue out of my retirement account. And I want that to increase 5% every year. You know, as I get older, my medical expenses are going to get higher. Plus older ladies have more expensive taste. Okay. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I'm a hedonistic guy. So I want that increase. But I also have ungrateful grandkids. So I want that income stream for 40 years. When I'm 90, I want to tell them I have $10 million in my account and you're getting none of it, you suckers. All right. So that's my retirement requirements. Get a financial planner. Your client comes to you, says, this is what I want. What do I need to do to get that? So the client wants $10,000 a month for 40 years. And the first month is going to be $10,000 a month. After that, it's going to grow at a rate of 5% every year. And at the end of 40 years, they still want 10 million grand, $10 million in their account. All right. My job as a financial advisor is not to judge. That's what the client wants. Okay. Let's see what do we need to do to get that client where they are. The first question I'm asking, how much money do you have in your account now? So, well, I got 15 grand. My grandma left me. Okay. Grandma was actually much better than I will be to my grandkids. And what can you earn or what sort of risk you want to take while you're saving? He says, not too much, just stock market. I said, okay, I'm going to assume you can earn 8% after inflation. Okay. And you also tell me you could increase your monthly savings maybe 3% every year. As you get older, you'll make more money. So you'll be able to save more. But you don't know how much you need to save. Oh, you can earn, we said 8%. You want to do this for 30 years. The unknown we have is how much do you need to save the first month? Algebraically, you can do this. It'll take you with the growth thing, probably 2.5 pages of algebra if your handwriting is small. Otherwise, 4 pages. I could probably do that algebra in my sleep, but that doesn't mean crap. I'm going to actually set it up. In fact, we're going to build that spreadsheet for you guys to give you those skills. We're going to do that once we enter the inputs in 2 clicks, maybe 2.5.